Welcome to Megapath Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about The Walking Dead comic issue 163. Now, this is the standard cover, and to celebrate 25 years at Image Comics, they are selling this issue for 25 cents. And they also have two variants. This colored variant with Rick cosplaying as Negan, and there's also the black and white version. Now, if you haven't heard about these variants yet, your comic shop needed to have ordered 200 to get this, 200 of these to get one of these, and 500 of these to get one of the black and whites. And I believe my local comic shop, Capital Comics in Raleigh, North Carolina, I think they only got one of these, and I was lucky enough to be the one they held it for. I was also the first one to bring it up to them, so I guess that's fair, and I really appreciate that they hooked me up with it. But I don't think they got a black and white one, which leads me to believe they ordered somewhere between 200 to 500. With that said, I'm going to dive in to read this. If you want any other information about these variants, you can probably find out in the comments down below. Lots of people will probably be talking about it. Or I have a previous video or two where we talked about how I disagreed with them making this such a retailer incentive. I disagreed with that, so you can go and see my thoughts and opinions about that in the previous video. I'm jumping right in because I want to read the story. I have not read it yet, but I do like the design of the cover, the old school 25 cents. That's pretty cool. Andrea riding off to go whoop some ass. You know what? It's awesome finally seeing walkers running into the spikes and the traps and stuff. That is awesome. Oh, that is fucking cool. Look at that. The walkers just get pushed up against the fence of Alexandria, and then they get smushed through. Oh, man. Oh, shit. You can buy these, the original pages, and that would be so damn cool to be able to buy this and this page and then have it posted up. Skybound, sell prints or something of this. Start doing some cool stuff like that. I guarantee fans will buy that. I'll buy that shit. I'll put that right in the living room, right in the dining room, right where we have breakfast and lunch and dinner. Oh shit! Did it fall down? Oh shit! I think it did. I thought it was some cool, like, different view, you know, like a view from the top, and then they were doing something artistic, and it took me a minute. I was like, no, that's the tower back there. Oh man, so many cool images. Look at that shit. I like that though. You're a hard fucking man to please, Rick. I just finished issue 163, and I have to say that I definitely like it. I don't think it was all out amazing, but I really like it. I was expecting more. I was expecting more walkers in Alexandria. We kind of stopped there once the walkers got to Alexandria. Essentially, in this issue, they hear the walkers. They're really close now. They send out a team to steer the walkers away. Michonne and Jesus break off, and they decide to take turns chopping away at some walkers to just flat out kill them, because it's quicker to kill them than it is to steer them away. And that's pretty cool and amazing, but it's also got to be exhausting too, so I don't see that lasting much longer. And then the walkers get to the gate. Negan says, screw this, I'm not sitting out. And he grabs a knife, goes to the gate, starts killing walkers. And one of my all-time favorite moments happens at that point when the walkers press up against the gate and they squeeze the walkers in front, and the one just turns to mush, and his body, blood, and guts fall to the bottom of the gate there. That is epic. But all that pressure brings the gate down, and that's when the walkers pour into Alexandria. Rick is down on the ground. He's about to get chomped up. Negan saves his life. I do like how Negan mentions that, you know, I saved your life, but it's kind of my fault because I broke your leg. Sorry about that. But that is where they end it, and I kind of was expecting more of the story to take place inside Alexandria with the walkers inside the gates. But I'm fine for that, because guess what? It's a continuing story. We got another issue coming out where we can see the walkers ripping shit apart in Alexandria, and then we can see the saviors sneaking their bitch asses over. Yeah, I don't like the saviors. I just want them dead and dealt with already. Just dead and gone. Let's have Negan do it. I don't care. But the best moment in this entire issue is probably Negan saving Rick. Now, why is that? And I know this is something we've talked about, so this is something that's clearly, if you said it's predictable, yeah, we've been talking about ever since Negan started siding with the savior, or with the survivors. We've been talking about him either saving Rick or him either saving Maggie. Now, I kind of am leaning more towards enjoying him saving Maggie more, But this is identical to, not how it happens, but it's identical to what we were talking about 6 months ago. Walker's being in Alexandria, shit going down. You could look at my older video when I discussed this, and then having Negan save Rick, and I think I said that's when Maggie shows up, whoop-de-whoop. So it's almost happening identical to that. The situations are different, so you could call it predictable, but I like it because it's layered. You have a guy who is the villain. I mean, this is the villain. But in real life, every single action they make, like an evil or a bad person, every single action they make, you know what I mean, is not evil. And that is why I love layered characters like that, and that's why I love layered situations like that. Because the perfect example, you have Negan, who is the villain. He is the bad guy. He took somebody's head, somebody we love, somebody that we look at, and this is a character that's innocent. It's not like it was this shit character that was still a good guy, but he was a shitty person, and then you can kind of write it off like, okay, it was kind of karma, you know? No, Glenn was a sweetheart. He was a good person. So Negan's always going to carry that. Negan will always be the villain. He will always be stained and tainted in some way, shape, or form. But again, just like in real life, all his actions don't got to be evil. All his actions don't have to portray him as the villain. And I know some fans, there was even a letter in the back of the letter hacks that said, oh, what are you doing with Negan? This isn't Negan. He's letting Dwight talk to him that way. He's letting this or doing that. He's letting people talk down to him. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Did you skip the moment where he made Carl cry and then Negan was like, oh shit, I'm sorry, kid, you know? Like, that's Negan. How about the time that Carl snapped back at him and threatened to kill him, and Negan was like, okay, you know? Okay, kid. Like, that's Negan. That's the same thing as Dwight talking shit to him when they're at war, and Negan's like, oh, geez, give it a rest. You know, Negan was the boss at that point in time, and he didn't threaten him, kill him. He didn't gut him right then and there. Negan is, you know, he is playful to a certain degree. Technically, I give it to you, this is still the Whisperer War, you know, because this herd is being sent from the Whisperers. But then when you pull back and look at why I enjoy it, it's because the Whisperers aren't dead and dealt with already. They are somewhere out there, and that's a card you can play, and there's no pressure to play that right away. Kirkman can wait whenever he wants. He can wait until we are so focused on something else, and then boom, out of the shadows, this big silhouette comes, you know, grips this character just when we think, oh, you lost your balls, you're not going to kill any main characters, whoop-de-whoop. Just when we think that happens, here comes Beta out of nowhere. He lifts like Andrea up by her head and just rips her throat out or something vicious. I mean, you can play that card with that character now because you didn't kill him in the Whisperer War. And then we have these saviors. Now, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with the saviors because, yeah, that is a little repetitive, and that is something that we were all like, oh, well, that's interesting because you have the saviors, but now we have the saviors again, and it seems like it's going to be another battle, but this is going to be a one and done. I have a strong feeling the saviors are going to show up expecting the survivors to be on their last leg, and then Negan, Dwight, you know, Rick will just whoop their ass. I'm hoping they kill them. I don't want to deal with the saviors anymore, or at least these saviors. I would like to just kill them and say, okay, Negan, go lead. Although I think that's too soon. I'll tell you right now, that's way too soon, because Rick was just saying, even though Negan saved his life, Rick was just saying, you're not even going to get a gun, you're not leading, you're going to live in a house by yourself out there, we'll check in on you, whoop-de-whoop. So I think it is too soon, but I think it would still be cool to see Negan actually leading, but cooperating with the rest of the groups. I think that would be awesome. There was also something in the letter hacks about this being repetitious. You know, it's too repetitive. You got the big bads, you got war, you got fighting. And you guys know when Kirkman or Skybound or anybody, and I love Kirkman and Skybound. I love the shit out of Skybound. I think they're some of the coolest people. The people working at Skybound, everyone I've ever talked with at Skybound is just awesome. When there's something that Skybound as a company does that I disagree with or I don't like, you guys know I have no problems talking about that. I disagree heavily with the variant cover. I have not been shy about that whatsoever. But I highly disagree with the fans saying it's too repetitive, because what else are you going to do? It's like making a story when you know you're going to have conflict almost constantly, and then people saying, that's too much conflict. It's like, what else did you expect, you know? These are people living in the zombie apocalypse, and they need to make the story feel realistic. I won't read this if it doesn't feel realistic. And what do I mean by that? They need to grow crops. It's been years. You're not going to find food out there. You might be able to hunt, but I need these characters to eat. I need them to live to be realistic, because if these characters just go out and venture into the world and we never see them, what do they do for food and shit like that? Like, I want to read and watch when I watch a show. I want these characters to feel real. That is what I enjoy in a story. I want it to feel like real characters in a zombie apocalypse, and I think that is what makes it the most interesting. Not like superheroes or something super fake living in a zombie apocalypse. In my opinion, that's not interesting at all. But it's real characters in a real situation, a real atmosphere. So if you wanted to look at this situation where you have characters, you have zombies, and then you have lawless lands, what else do you think is going to happen? Yes, the story can go in multiple different directions, and I'm happy with that. If they come up with something creative and interesting, like, I think the world of The Walking Dead desperately needs a natural disaster. You need it, bring it, you know? And I think that could be as interesting as bad guys, as interesting as the monsters, the zombies. But I think you need to introduce a natural disaster or something like that. And I also think you desperately need to, once we're done with the saviors, once we're done and we need to rebuild the communities, I think they desperately need to venture out. You did a time skip. Venture out and see what the world is like. Meet new communities. Grow this into an even larger world where you have communities that might take, you know, a week to travel to these other communities, and it'll be like back in the Western days where maybe they started maybe they got trains up and running, like sections of train tracks. Maybe they're going to start doing stuff like that with carriages, train tracks. Build a world like that. I think that is the perfect thing to take advantage of in the world of The Walking Dead at this point in time. Like I said, with this story, though, as a review, I think this is definitely worth a read. I do disagree that this is an issue that any, you know, new reader could just pick up and read it and, you know, be plugged into the story. I strongly disagree. I think it's, for a cheap cover price, new readers might have more of a reason to take a look at it. Maybe they are interested with it, but I don't see anything else for them to do but go back to the first issue, the first compendium, and start from the beginning. Maybe I could be wrong about that. I just don't know how much enjoyment you can get starting with this issue. But I did like it. I really did like it. It wasn't a mind-blowing issue, but it was definitely what we needed, I feel. But I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. What did you think about issue 163? How do you feel about the variant cover? And were you able to pick up the Rick dressing up as Negan or cosplaying as Negan cover, the variant cover? There's also a black and white. I am interested to know if any of you were lucky enough to score a black and white. I hear they're going for anywhere for around $150 to $200 right now. If you really want to get a black and white, wait 6 or 7 months. You could probably find one for $60-70. Almost guaranteed. I don't know. Check it out. Thoughts and opinions in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.